Some musicians leave behind a legacy. Others leave behind a haunting mystery.
43, male inside the Alrosa on stage with a 33. Shots still being fired.
Imagine being in a hospital battling sickle cell disease, only to choke to death on an egg.
Growing up as a child, I had to just learn. I couldn't do certain things like other kids. If I overworked my body, I was a little different.
Or the horror of being raped, beaten, and strangled, your life stolen in the most brutal way possible. And then there's Victor Jara, a musician whose voice was silenced in the most gruesome way imaginable. Brace yourself as we dive into the worst ways musicians have died, Part 1. He survived the streets, he survived the industry, but in the end it was a combination of his lifelong illness and an unexpected accident that ended his life. Albert Johnson, better known as Prodigy of Mobb Deep, was a legend in hip-hop. His raw lyrics and haunting delivery made him one of the most respected voices in rap. But behind the fame, he battled sickle cell anemia since birth.
Growing up as a child, I had to just learn. I couldn't do certain things like other kids. If I overworked my body, I was a little different.
The pain was relentless, often landing him in the hospital. On June 20th, 2017, after performing in Las Vegas as part of the Art of Rap tour, Prodigy was hospitalized for complications from his condition. But what should have been routine treatment took a tragic turn. While already in the hospital, he choked on an egg. An accident so sudden and unexpected it claimed his life at just 42 years old. A man who spent his life fighting pain, lost his battle in a way no one could have foreseen. His music lives on, but the cruel irony of his death, felled not by his chronic illness but by a simple act of eating, still haunts the hip-hop world.
The plane, just after taking off for Florida in perfect weather, suddenly plummeted to the ground. Along with 8 passengers, Aaliyah, a young Brooklyn native and a talented singer and actress.
She was the princess of R&B, a rising icon with the world at her feet. But on August 25, 2001, Aaliyah's life was cut short in a tragic and preventable plane crash. After filming her final music video in the Bahamas, Aaliyah and her team were eager to return home. But when they arrived at the airport, their small Cessna 402B was dangerously overloaded and improperly balanced. Witnesses say Aaliyah was hesitant to board. Minutes after takeoff, the aircraft struggled, stalled, and plummeted to the ground, bursting into flames. 5 passengers, including Aaliyah, died instantly. The other 4 succumbed to their injuries shortly after. The pilot, unqualified to fly the plane, and later found to have had cocaine and alcohol in his system. She was just 22, gone too soon because of negligence and a series of fatal mistakes. A star that burned too bright, extinguished far too early. Seattle's grunge scene was raw, rebellious, and full of untamed energy, and Mia Zapata was its fearless heart. As the lead singer of the Gits, her voice was gritty and soulful, a perfect fit for the era. But on July 7, 1993, that voice was silenced forever. Around 2 a.m., Mia left a friend's apartment. She never made it home. Hours later, her body was found, brutally beaten, raped, and strangled with the drawstrings of her hoodie. Her murder sent shockwaves through the music community, sparking a decade-long search for justice. For years, friends and fellow musicians rallied, raising funds for a private investigator. Then, in 2003, DNA evidence led to Jesus Mezquia, a man with a history of violence. He was convicted and ultimately sentenced to 36 years in prison. But justice couldn't bring Mia back. She was 27. Another young talent, stolen in the most violent way imaginable. leaving behind a legacy of powerful music and unanswered what-ifs.
She was on loan to me. And she now belongs to all of you. And it's neat. I like it. I'm proud of her.
Victor Jara wasn't just a musician. He was a poet, an activist, a voice for the oppressed. But in mid-September 1973, his voice was brutally silenced by Chile's military dictatorship. On September 12th, after General Augusto Pinochet's coup, Jara was among thousands rounded up and taken to Chile Stadium. Soldiers recognized him, and that sealed his fate. They tortured him, broke his hands, mocking the very tools that played his guitar. Defiant, Jara managed to write one last poem and tried to sing. In response, they riddled his body with bullets, leaving him with 44 gunshot wounds. For decades, justice seemed impossible. But in 2018, and again in 2023, after years of trials, former military officers were sentenced for his murder. Yet no sentence can undo the horror of what happened. Jara was 40 years old. His body was destroyed, but his songs and final poem live on, a reminder that even in death, a voice for justice can never truly be silenced.
Male inside the Alrosa on stage with a 33. Shots still being fired.
It was supposed to be a night of music, but it turned into a massacre. On December 8, 2004, legendary Pantera guitarist Dimebag Darrell took the stage at the Alrosa Villa nightclub in Columbus, Ohio, with his band, Damage Plan. Moments into their set, a man stormed the stage, gun in hand. Nathan Gale, a former Marine with a history of mental illness and a disturbing obsession, opened fire. His first shot struck Darrell in the head, killing him instantly. Chaos erupted as fans and crew tried to stop the shooter, but Gale continued his rampage, ultimately killing 4 people, including Darrell. Police arrived within minutes. Officer James Niggemeyer took a single shot, killing Gale before he could claim more lives. Darrell was just 38. A guitar god, taken in an act of senseless violence. He spent his life shredding on stage, and in the end, that's where he died, doing what he loved. Black metal was built on darkness, but for Mayhem's guitarist Euronymous, the horror became real. On August 10, 1993, his former bandmate, Varg Vikernes, drove 300 miles with accomplice Snorre Blackthorn Ruck to confront him in Oslo, Norway. What started as a dispute over money and power turned deadly. When Euronymous opened his door, Varg attacked, stabbing him over 20 times. The crime shocked the metal world. Euronymous had built Mayhem on chaos, infamous for burning churches and disturbing stage antics. But his own murder blurred the line between image and reality. Varg claimed self-defense, but few believed him. In May 1994, he was convicted of murder, church arson, and explosives possession, receiving Norway's maximum sentence of 21 years.
Varg Vikernes, født 11.2.73, dømmes til en straff av fengsel i 21.
Euronymous was just 25. His life ending in the kind of violence he once glorified. His legacy, a band that changed metal and a murder that haunts the genre to this day. He sang about love, but his own home was filled with violence. On April 1, 1984, soul legend Marvin Gaye was shot and killed. by his own father.
Soul singer Marvin Gaye, whose career spanned over 25 years, including the birth of the Motown sound to the 80s, was shot to death yesterday in Los Angeles.
In the months leading up to his death, Marvin was struggling. Drug addiction, depression, and paranoia consumed him. He moved back in with his parents to care for his ailing mother, but his relationship with his father, Marvin Gaye Sr., had always been volatile. That fateful day, an argument erupted over a misplaced insurance document. Marvin intervened when his father shouted at his mother. The confrontation turned physical, with Marvin allegedly striking his father. Moments later, his father grabbed a .38 pistol, ironically a Christmas gift from Marvin himself, and shot him twice in the chest. Marvin Gaye was just one day shy of his 45th birthday. The man who gave us What's Going On and Sexual Healing was gone, not at the hands of a stranger but his own blood. His father pleaded no contest to voluntary manslaughter and received a suspended sentence with probation. Justice felt hollow, but Marvin's music remains eternal. His voice was haunting, his music timeless, but his death remains one of rock's greatest tragedies. On May 29, 1997, Jeff Buckley waded into the Wolf River Harbor in Memphis and never came back. That fateful evening, Buckley and his roadie, Keith Foti, stopped by the riverbank. Fully clothed, Buckley entered the water. As he swam, Foti watched from shore. A passing boat created waves, and in a moment of distraction, Buckley vanished beneath the surface. For days, search teams combed the river. Then on June 4th, his body was found downstream. The autopsy revealed a low blood alcohol level, but no drugs, just a tragic accident. He was 30 years old, gone before the world could fully realize his brilliance. His masterpiece, Grace, still echoes, but the voice behind it was silenced by the river, leaving behind only mystery and music.
What else I'm a man, I spill him.
As the frontman of the Yardbirds, Keith Relf helped shape rock history, but his life ended in a tragic accident, one that highlights the importance of electrical safety. On May 14, 1976, Relf was in the basement of his home, playing his electric guitar. There was a critical problem. His guitar wasn't properly grounded. A powerful electric current surged through him, causing a fatal shock. The exact circumstances of his death remain unclear, but it's believed he may have come into contact with an exposed metal pipe while playing. He was just 33 years old, a pioneer of psychedelic and blues rock, taken far too soon. His death serves as a sobering reminder of how one small oversight can have devastating consequences. Relf's legacy lives on through his music and his posthumous induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with the Yardbirds in 1992.
John Bonham, drummer with the British rock group Led Zeppelin since its inception in 1968, was found dead today at the home of a friend in Windsor, England.
He was the thunder behind Led Zeppelin, a drummer like no other. But on September 25, 1980, John Bonham drank himself to death. Bonham's hard-hitting style revolutionized rock drumming. His powerful beats, innovative techniques, and unmatched bass drum control formed the backbone of Led Zeppelin's sound. From the iconic groove of When the Levee Breaks to the jaw-dropping solo in Moby Dick, Bonham's playing was a force of nature. The day before his death, he reportedly consumed 40 measures of vodka. He passed out at Jimmy Page's house, placed in bed to sleep it off. But that same afternoon, he was found unresponsive. He had choked on his own vomit in his sleep. He was just 32 years old. Led Zeppelin, unwilling to continue without him, disbanded 2 months later. One of rock's greatest drummers, silenced by excess. His death was senseless, but his thunderous legacy lives on, inspiring generations of musicians and echoing through rock history forever. Some of these deaths were cruel accidents, others were unspeakable acts of violence, but all of them remind us that even the most talented artists can meet unthinkable fates. Which of these stories shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more jaw-dropping tales from the world of music, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Because sometimes, the truth is darker than the music they left behind.